Welcome back, it's Nicola Cairncross here, and today I want to talk to you about ways you can protect your small business from this banking crisis. I get Google alerts every day, and one of the articles that came through today I thought looked quite interesting. I'll go and have a look, and it was 4 ways to protect your small business from a banking crisis. And as I skimmed through it, I thought, oh God, this is a bit dull, isn't it? It's not really going to make any difference at all. Things like split up your accounts so that if you have vast quantities of money in your small business, then you shouldn't be keeping it in the same bank account. Well, that's pretty obvious, isn't it? I don't know many small business owners who've got more than 85k sitting in a bank account at any one time. But if you're in that lucky position, then yes, of course, you should move it over so that it's marginally covered by the bank insurance. Although if a bank collapses, then I don't think the bank insurance will cover it, frankly. The next one was to be careful when banking beyond borders. Well, that's a very good advice if you're a small business that's doing business overseas. The next one was consider a range of borrowing options. Well, that's very good too, but you might have an excellent business idea, but without hard assets, it can be difficult to get a bank loan. There are plenty other options, such as R&D grants from local councils. Rarer than hen's teeth in my experience, and you have to pay a consultant to do the application for you. Otherwise, you've got no snowball's chance in hell of getting one of those. And the rest of these suggestions were about getting investors and raising venture capital, which is beyond the reach of most small business owners. Not that I'm being negative, I'm just wondering who they're actually aiming at. The next one was quite interesting. It said set up an emergency fund, and I'm going to go into that in a bit more detail, but they suggest try to maintain 1/3 of your typical monthly expenses as an emergency fund. Well, I suggest in this day and age you need to go a little bit further than that. I'm going to come back to that one in a minute. So let's try mine for size, shall we? First thing you need to do is cut back your overheads hard. Have a slash and burn exercise. Get rid of anything that's a vanity overhead. Get rid of anything that you can do without. There's only one thing you shouldn't be cutting back on though, and I'll come to that point last in my list. Update your cash flow weekly. So if you're someone who lets it slide for a couple of weeks, you've got to get all over this like a rash. And if you follow one of my videos earlier, I'll put the thumbnail up so you can find it and recognise it easy in my list of videos. Then you'll be running your cash flow weekly already, but then not just your business cash flow, your personal cash flow, and we'll come to why in a minute. The fastest way to get rid of a load of overhead is to ring up your bank and say you've lost your debit card. Because what happens is we end up putting a load of online expenses, particularly onto debit cards, and then there's absolutely no way to cancel them short of going and logging into your account on each and every online expense, finding the area where you can cancel that, and they don't make it easy, believe me. So what I do is I just literally ring my bank, say I've lost my card, can you please send me another one? And that generally works to stop all the payments going out in one hit. As the email notifications come in that your payment's due and your card isn't working, then you can just go and set up the absolutely essential overheads again. I do this at least once a quarter to clean everything out. Right, point 2, create an emergency cash fund. I keep hearing stories about banks pulling in loans, banks pulling in credit cards, banks reducing the amount of borrowing, and they just come do this without warning. And if you're relying on bank credit of any kind to run your business, then you're going to be in big trouble if they try and do this to you. So as part of slashing your overheads, you need to be creating an emergency cash fund of ideally at least 1 month's expenses, so that should the banks suddenly freeze our accounts, suddenly freeze our credit cards, suddenly close the cash points, which they may well do at some point for a week or 2 weeks or even a month, then at least you've got the cash to keep your business going. Do consider keeping some of your business cash in gold and silver as well, because should the worst come to the worst, that is legal tender. Your average builder, electrician and supplies company will be able to easily look up the price of gold and silver per ounce on that day and accept it as legal tender. Don't leave yourselves depending on the banks. How long could your business function without actually paying for any supplies? Because a lot of businesses depend on supplies coming in to be able to make what they sell going out. So make sure you've got at least enough for 1 month's supplies. Another good thing to do at this time before all this happens would be to move all your credit cards balances onto a 0% card. Just go onto one of those compare the market accounts and try and get yourself a 0% credit card. Move the balance over. Keep your business expenses and your personal expenses separate. Business balances onto one and your personal balances onto another. And then at least you're not going to be paying exorbitant interest on purchases made and balances transferred. Suggestion number 3, pay yourself back now. If you've lent your business any money at all and it can afford to pay it back, then make a start on that. Either do it in one hit or start paying yourself back over months or even ideally weeks. Why would you do that? Well, because it gets the money where it needs to be, and I've seen plenty of businesses go bust owing their owners lots of money, and the owners will never see that money. But if you can pay yourself back, then you can always decide to lend your business money again in the future. One of my mentors used to say, I look at my business every month and say, would I lend this business money if I was an outside investor? And if the answer is no, then sort your business out fast, because you have invested in your business. You're investing time, you're investing effort, and you're often investing money or paying for things. And if you can, pay yourself back quickly, and then you'll always have the money in your personal bank account or wealth management system, whatever that might be, to lend your business it again if it needs it and if you think it warrants it. But you can't re-lend it if you haven't paid it back. So do that as quickly as you possibly can. Couple more positive ones now. Number 4, think of cross-sells and upsells. If you've got a customer base or a customer list or a client list, these customers and clients are now free to you. You don't have to pay to market to acquire them. What else could you sell them? What did they buy? Have you even got your mailing list broken down by what people have bought in the past? Is there a way you could bring that up to speed quickly? Could you think of things that they would logically need after the last thing they've bought from you? Do you have that? Could you sell it to them? Could you buy something in on 30 days, 60 days, 90 days credit that you could sell and get payment for from your customers straight away? That increases your cash flow by 1 month, 2 months or 3 months to the positive. And the other thing in this section is, how can you create strategic marketing partnerships? How can you find complementary businesses who've got customers just like yours, or customers who might be interested in the things that you are selling and where your customers might be interested in the things they're selling? For example, when I had my luxury boutique hotel in Worthing, I went out and found a local upmarket gym and a local upmarket restaurant and a local upmarket florist, and we all promoted each other's businesses. It was absolutely brilliant and it worked really, really well. So who could you team up to mail your list about their products and services and get them to mail about your products and services to their customer list? There's gold in those lists, don't neglect it. Another thing to look into would be, could your business accept payment by Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies? Look into wallets that use the Lightning Network, because often that can be integrated very, very easily into your, certainly into your online sales process. And actually, if you've got the Lightning Network installed in your shop at point of sale, which is spreading very quickly in America now, then people can walk into your shop with I've got a Blue wallet, for example. I could walk into your shop and actually buy using Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies, which is a pretty exciting idea. In the event that the entire banking system seizes up, we've got to be ready with other alternative ways to go. And that can also mean buying gold and silver coin, as it is coin of the realm. If it suddenly starts shooting up in value, there's no capital gains tax to pay on it either when you actually sell it or spend it. So if you want to talk to me a bit about that, then just book yourself in for one of my complimentary, and we can explore how you can make yourself bank run and bank crash independent. And number 5, the last thing you should cut back on is your marketing. You need to keep marketing because all of your competitors will be pulling back on their marketing budgets, and you need to be standing out in the marketplace and carving out the leading position. But you've got to be able to track whether that marketing spend is turning into customers and what the return on investment is. If you don't know how to do that, then do book a call with me, because I can help you. There's often lots of great ways to find out where your marketing spend is converting into customers, and that's often as simple as sending them to a duplicate sales page on your website that only the traffic from that particular source can get to. Google Analytics have got ways of tracking what happens on your website if you make sales there, and you can always train your staff to always religiously ask, where did the customer hear of you? They'll often come up with something quite vague, but what you can do is you could perhaps, in your advertising, you could encourage people to use a discount voucher or a coupon code, something easy to remember for them. It will tell you which bit of your advertising or marketing is bringing in the phone calls. There's always a way to track your marketing. So as I say, if you want to talk to me about that, I'd be happy to have a call with you. Just come over to nicolacairncross.com and tap the envelope or the phone icon, and I'll be delighted to have a conversation. And let's get talking about how you can track your marketing spend and return on investment. So I hope these are a little bit more dynamic on how to protect your business against whatever's going on with the banks right now. Well, we know what's going on with the banks right now. They're trying to cover up all their mistakes that they've been making since the global financial crisis of 2008. But you don't want your little business to get dragged down at the same time. Let's start on some aggressive defence positions that you can implement straight away. If you've got any other suggestions for other small businesses, then do feel free to drop them in the comments. Let's make this video a fantastic resource for other business owners, shall we? And I'll see you tomorrow.